Yeah, and last time it started without me realizing because I wait for the 3, 2, 1. Right, here we go. And it says that, see, it's done it again. It started 7 seconds ago by the looks of it. But hey, it is what it is. At least it's working. So, Marilyn Devonish here. I want to tell you about two things that are happening very soon. One of them, if you're watching this in real time, is happening tomorrow on Saturday, and it's the Clear Your Clutter. So it's about getting organized, decluttering, a little bit of a challenge. But I thought rather than do the usual style challenge, which I did this month, well, actually last month, ended 3 days ago. It was the Win Your Mornings in 30 days. So that one was the traditional LMS where every day for 30 days you get a new exercise. And then I ran the whole thing as 2 half-day workshops where we go through all the exercises. And that was really powerful. And people said they really loved bringing the exercises to life and actually doing them in real time. So we did little mini segments. So I thought, actually, I'm going to reverse it this time. Let's start with the workshop version for the Clear Your Clutter, because clutter is such a practical thing. So what we're going to be doing with regards to this one, there is a workbook that goes with it. So if I do decide to put a traditional challenge together, the workbook, we'll go through the workbook. But what I thought was I'm going to pull out parts of the workbook and we're actually going to do those in real time. So the way that it's going to be structured, actually, let me show you. Let me give you a quick overview. So I'm just kind of finishing up the slides. So I'm going to say prettifying them. I know that's not really a word. So we're going to look at the psychology of clutter, because for those of you who have struggled with clutter, and I have myself, it's not just, oh, just sort it out, just tidy it up. There's no just about it. It often runs deeper than that. So we're going to look at some of the reasons, the barriers also to tackling the clutter. We're going to start with that because that's a really important piece. We're then going to do the PPS, the practical Pomodoro sessions, where talk is cheap, as they say in this particular context. So once we've had some discussions around it, we're actually going to have some Pomodoro style time to get up and do things, which is exactly what we did on the Win Your Mornings. It's the approach that I take with my monthly online coaching group. Every single month, there is a Pomodoro session where people go and put things into action. And it is incredible. Even when I'm doing the shorter, 10, 12, 15-minute sessions, people report back, and the stuff they have got done in that little amount of time, and taking those principles from the way that I teach the photo reading accelerated learning workshop, where oftentimes people are given 90 seconds, a minute and a half to produce a mind map. Those mind maps are better than some of the mind maps I used to give people an hour to do. So we use that same sort of principle mindset with this, so that by the end of the workshop, you will see progress. We are also coming back to the psychology of clutter piece. We are going to do a belief change session and an energy clearing, because that's also a really important part of this. It's all very well to theorize about it, to talk about it, to pontificate about it, to have really good intentions about it. And this one, I think, was brought home to many people during the lockdown. People used to say, oh, if only I had the time. Because let's face it, if you're working and you don't work weekends, even if you don't work weekends, that time goes incredibly quickly. You've got to do your shopping, your laundry, your social life, have some rest and relaxation time and all that stuff. Before you know it, it's Monday again, you're back on it. During lockdown, many people had several weeks, months, even years, and they still didn't get around to doing the things that were on their must do in terms of sorting our clutter list. So as I said, it goes beyond good intentions. We're going to do some belief change work, and we'll do some of the energy clearing stuff as well. Once we've got that out of the way, and they're going to be a series of the practical sessions throughout the workshop, and then we're going to close with the clutter clearing blueprint. Where do you go from here, having done that kickstart piece? And then we're going to talk about the next step. So that's what we've got coming up. Now, where we're going to start, just as a little taster for those of you who will be joining us live, we're going to start with just choosing one tiny space, because, and this is just my personal preference and what I've realized with the clients I've worked on this with throughout the years, coming up to 20, well, it's happy anniversary to me. October is my 25-year anniversary of being a coach and therapist. It's that whole thing about, a bit like the lockdown phenomenon where, if I had more time, I'd do this. And then you have your year and you don't do anything. that necessarily isn't the way to go with regards to this. So our first exercise, well, there's an exercise before this where we get the resources ready, and I've messaged you all about that in terms of so you can start getting them to hand. But the first exercise we're going to do is you're going to do a scan or a survey of your house, and you're either going to do that in your mind if you've got a pretty good idea of where you're at, and the invitation will be to get up, stand up. Sounds like Bob Marley. Get up, stand up. So it's going to be a case of get up and stand up and go to that particular, go and scan the house, look at everything, and then say to yourself, okay, if I'm going to choose one tiny area or space, what is it going to be? Now I'm already looking at the where I'm going to start tomorrow, because I'm going to do the practical exercises as well. I'm going to start with I'm pointing over there because that's where the drawer is. There is a drawer in my office that now can no longer close because I was looking for something a few months ago. I knew it was in the drawer, so I pulled the whole drawer out. Right, it's right at the back, typical. So I'd taken a load of stuff out. And then because it was all strategically placed, it never quite went back in. So the drawer is sort of partially open. Kind of annoys me when I walk past it, when I notice it. Haven't done anything about it. It's been about 2 months now. It's like, duh, come on. So that's going to be the first one I'm going to start with. I'm going to pull that drawer out. I'm going to use one of the resource boxes that we talked about in the messaging, and I'm going to sort that drawer. So that's going to be my first little task. So if you are joining us, just start thinking about which of the rooms will it be for you. Is it that you've got maybe a load of clutter and stuff in your bathroom? Is it that there's a kitchen work surface that you actually can't even get to and use anymore because it's overrun? Is it that you can't get to your own bed because there's so much stuff on it? Is it that you can't get to your exercise bike, your exercise equipment, because it's become the proverbial clothes holder, for example? It may be your office and that your desk is full of clutter and stuff and you barely find anything. It could be outside of the home. Maybe you've got the shed that always needs sorting out, tidying up. Maybe, we're transitioning now out of summer into autumn here in the UK, at least if you're watching this in real time. So it could be you put away some of the things that you've previously been using for summer and get ready for the winter, that sort of thing. Or it could, and also one of the things I'm going to be asking you to do is we're going to create a haven space, as I call it. And this, even if it's just an armchair, you're going to create a space that you actually go back to that is clear. So all of this, we're going to be doing it during the workshop tomorrow, but this is just to give you a little flavor of what we're doing now. We're also going to have a series of clarity questions. I won't spoil it by showing them all to you, but I'm just going to show you one of the clarity questions. This one here. There's a question that I say, what does it feel like when, visitors say they're coming around? Great. And now for many people, they do what I call the Keystone Cops, and they run around and do a sort out, tidy up, all the rest of it, and like, phew, and it feels great. Another part of that question is, what does it feel like if you've had someone show up unannounced? Is it like, hey, wow, how are you doing? There's a genuine smile and surprise. Or is it that fake smile because you don't actually want them to come in and see what's going on in your space? And with this one, the reason I put this one in is because I want that visceral feeling, the first honest answer that comes up and that comes to mind, because that goes into the mix for the belief change session, that goes into the mix for the energy clearing. Because if you have that around your home, then the motivation, the impetus, the inspiration to actually get up and do something, it's dominated by that particular feeling. So that's one of the things that we're going to be looking at as well. So the workshop is live tomorrow, Saturday, if you're watching this in real time. If you've missed it, there will be an on-demand replay. And one of the things I'm going to suggest with this replay, because when I record pretty much all of my workshops, I have been since 2005. So 20 years at this point, well before the knee-jerk pandemic pivot and all of that malarkey. And often I say, like, let's say somebody's doing the photo reading, which is actually a 21-hour workshop, so it's basically 3 days. I say to them, first off, maybe just have it playing in the background, and just teach people how to set their purpose, their intention, so they hear what they need to hear. With this one, I would say it's a half-day workshop. So I would say set the time aside, at least do, a couple of 30-minute or ideally 1 hour chunks. You don't have to do the whole sitting, but I would say set the time aside and take part as though you are in the workshop. When I put the timer up on the screen, do the exercise that we're talking about. When we do the energy clearing, do the energy clearing, because you already know, if you follow me, when you do the HUNA and the World Access Consciousness and energy clearing, I'm trained in 20 different modalities now, or 20 plus, I'd say. You know that it works, whether you're there live, whether you're listening to an MP3 audio recording, or whether you're there on a video. So I'm going to say, treat this one as though you're actually at the workshop. But yes, so it'll be available on demand if you miss the live and you still want to go through it, etc. So that's that one. And they're coming along down the bottom of the ticker tape. So it's, as I said, it's Clear Clutter. It's www.marilyndevonish.thrivecart.com/clear your clutter. So clear dash your dash clutter. The second thing I want to talk to you about is a little mini masterclass, kind of boot camp style thing that I'm running on Monday. Again, if you're watching this in real time, about how to reclaim your brain. I don't know if any of you saw the MIT study that came out a few months ago. It came out in June 2025. Now, when ChatGPT first hit the streets, the virtual streets, I was like, this is pretty cool. As I started to using it, I was like, and it doesn't actually feel as though it's engaging the folds of my brain. I said it's felt like smooth learning. And what I meant by that is, like, if your brain was like a smooth surface, things just kind of slide off. They sort of, they hit the surface, but they slide off, versus what I call the kind of deep, visceral, wrinkly learning, where the learning gets into the neurology, it gets into the folds of the brain. And I kind of think, I think it's because a particular thing happened. I was working with an organization who were looking to set up an award ceremony. Now, back in the day when I was first working, I was a conference producer and an event manager. And so I did the second Irish Call Centre Awards. So the very first one, set up by a colleague of mine called Joe, was a smaller affair, like an evening thing. When I took over that second year, I said, let's go large. So it was black tie. One of our guest speaker was one of the lead actors from Father Ted, because of course it's the Irish Call Centre Awards. So this was big. We had specially commissioned glass awards from one of the best glass makers in Ireland. This was a big deal. I worked for Centaur Publishing at the time. They published, back in the day, Marketing Week, Money Marketing, New Media Express, The Lawyer. There's a big publication. So I was working for them as a conference producer, conference manager. And I did the whole thing myself. The only thing I didn't do was pick up the phone and phone the sponsors, because they brought in a sponsorship team to do that. But I wrote the conference, I researched the conference, I sourced the venue, I designed the conference, itinerary, agenda. I organized all of because once we were flying people out to Ireland, so I organized visiting one of the leading Irish call centres, because it's the Irish Call Centre Awards. I did everything. So I'm like, I know, and then the awards, I commissioned the awards, I ordered the awards, and decided on the categories, wrote the category specifications, selected the panel of judges, you name it, everything from the ground up, I did. So I'm like, I know how to organise an award ceremony if I really needed to. I don't know if you can hear those noises. I usually use my noise cancelling, but I've just finished interviewing Lynn McTaggart, so I've still got the same podcast set up. Apologies if you can hear all that background noise. That's why I use a smaller noise cancelling microphone for my day-to-days, because these are so sensitive, which is brilliant, but it has its downside. And so the charity that I'm working with, WACA, the Watford African Caribbean Association, they're like, we want to do an award ceremony. So they said, does anybody have any ideas? So I went, I said, I'll write a draft, and then we'll hand it over to the person who's going to do all the logistics, etc. So I'm sitting down and I did the thing that I always do. I pick up my pen and I'm mind mapping. And I'm like, okay, we'll do this and do this and do this. So I mind map the whole thing. And then I was like, I wonder what ChatGPT would say. So after I'd done it, I put it into ChatGPT, and of course, in like 30 seconds, if that, boom, it spat out a list. So I read the list. I was like, actually, it's pretty cool. It's close to what I would do. I think mine was better, if I'm very honest. ChatGPT was good. If you use that, you would do a great event. There were just some nuances in mine that weren't in ChatGPT, and we know it's about a training thing with the LLMs. The more you train it, the more it will get to know you. And then I went into the kitchen to make a cup of herbal tea, and a weird thing happened. Not with the tea. I'm making the tea and I'm thinking, right, I should send the email to Clive. Some of you know Clive Saunders, MBE, the chair of WACA. And then I was running through, is there anything else I want to add? And I'm thinking about mine, and I can see the pieces of the mind map. And then I thought, now what about the Chat GPT list? I looked at the Chat GPT list, just, cursory glance, had a quick read, didn't kind of do the photo reading stuff or anything like that. And I realized, because I didn't consciously engage my brain, something weird happened. I read it, but it kind of slid off. So I was like, oh my God, that's so weird. So then I went back to it. I did the step one of photo reading, what you call the tangerine technique. I read it again, did a bit of activation, and it kind of then, I was like, then I was able to recall it when I went upstairs a couple of hours later. But I was like, man, that's so weird. Because the first time round, what I'm going to say, I went through the motions of reading it. It felt kind of like I read it, but my brain didn't necessarily register it in the same way. And I was like, I wonder if this is going to happen to people, that their brain doesn't activate and engage in the same way when you're using things like ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, etc. And I was like, I think it would. But of course, the counter to that is the photo reading. So of course, I don't need to worry about it. And then 2 weeks ago, I come across the MIT study from June of this year. It said exactly what I had surmised last year. It said, because they did a series of experiments, there was cognitive decline in the groups that used ChatGPT. And they were very clear about that. I did a blog about it. Wherever you're watching this video, if you're watching it on Facebook, I'll put it into the comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll put it in the description. If this has streamed to LinkedIn, then I'll put it in the comments as well, because I wrote a summary of the MIT piece. But it said what I thought would happen: cognitive decline. Because, now they didn't go into the because, I'm going to go into the because I've been a certified photo reading instructor now since March 2002. I believe it's because your brain isn't engaging in the same way. The reason why on the photo reading workshop, I bring, when we do the workshop, whoops, just grab a couple from here just to give you a sense of the visual. Oh, a little bit of pink. On the photo reading workshop, people arrive and there are pots, glasses full of coloured pens, felt tip pens. There are no physical pens on the table because people bring a pen of their own, but I supply coloured pens. And when we do the mind maps, even if people have software and all that, I say that's really fantastic. And don't get me wrong, the software is great. I say for now, when you are first learning mind mapping and you're learning the techniques about how to activate left and right brain, how to improve your memory, how to improve your critical thinking, how to supercharge your creativity, how to next level your decision making, the sense of getting clarity, use pen and paper, because something different and deeper happens when you have pen to paper and you're actually writing. It's a different neurological experience to reading, unless you're photo reading. So that is why I start everybody with the pen to paper, and I'm insistent on that. No exceptions unless somebody's hand is in a cast, and I've never had that before. So everybody does the pen and paper to start off with because it activates the brain. So looking at the cognitive decline piece, I'm like, yep, that's exactly what I thought would happen. And that is exactly what is happening. Now, people won't notice. The reason I notice, because I'm used to the way that my brain works, in terms of recalling information, all that sort of stuff. So I was like, whoa, it's like I felt it. It's like, whoa, that just slid right off. In day-to-day life, most people won't realize. However, just imagine doing that as a one-off is no problem. But with the overuse and over-reliance, which is what the MIT study was about, that cognitive decline is only going to increase. I'm thinking now of the movie Dumb and Dumber, where people won't even notice until it's crunch time. And when you think about it, with the rise of AI, now more than ever, what used to be the poor relation in terms of leadership development, soft skills, those are the very skills that are going to be required. So those skills that are declining are the ones that will probably save you and elevate you and give you a value over and above AI. Because let's face it, AI can do a shed load of stuff that used to take days, weeks, months, even years. I've seen people writing code on live streams and building entire websites in like 2 minutes flat. This is a game changer, one of the biggest shifts of our time, I would say, in terms of technology. And I was around in the day of litho printing. So I've gone from using a litho printer, and then the introduction of the PC with those great big floppy disks that were the size of a 45. I've also then I used to be a telex operator, so use a telex machine. Was then using the fax machine. I was one of the only people in the office who could use a fax, the big photocopier. Now I've moved from the litho printer, went from rotary. I still got a rotary phone, but went from that to the big. My dad had one of those great big mobile phones that you had like a holster for, 8 tracks, all that sort of stuff. I've been there. I've lived through that, and even with having lived through all of that, I still say that what we're seeing with AI is one of the biggest shifts I can recall in my lifetime. I'm not talking about, the introduction of electricity and all that. I wasn't around then, and I hope I don't look like I was. But in my time, this is a big one. So if we don't get on board and start learning how to maintain and retain your brain, AI could just outwork you in a heartbeat if you don't have something to deliver. So on Monday, I am running a free little mini photo reading bootcamp. Now, I didn't choose the agenda. I put that out on social media and I sent it out to my e-newsletter list and I said, what do you want me to talk about? And I gave 7 or 8 options, plus I left a blank space saying other so people could suggest back to me. And then I've chosen the top ones, and those are the ones that we are going to be focusing on Monday evening, UK time, afternoon, if you're in USA EST. And I would love for you to join me if you want to come and learn how to reclaim your brain in the AI information age. Then join me. And that's coming along the ticker tape as well. It's a mouthful. So again, I'll put the link somewhere. It's bigmarker.com/transformations-tm/mini online photo reading bootcamp with Marilyn Devonish. And there's a dash between that last thing. So as I said, it's a mouthful. Easiest thing is just go to my main website, transformationstm.com. That's TRANCE, F for Freddie, FORMATIONSTM.com. And click the red What's New button. Actually, I thought I put it in here. Click the red What's New button. Oh, actually, that's interesting. Let me just... I'll just put a few of those up while I'm looking for what I'm looking for, just so you can get a sense of, how the photo reading works. This is someone who is studying to, well, they weren't studying to be a lawyer, but decided to change careers after learning photo reading. This is a message they sent me via Facebook Messenger a couple of years later out of the blue, saying, Marilyn, I changed paths. I'm practicing law thanks to photo reading. It gave me the confidence to read a lot of material in a short time and retain it, which is what I'm talking about here with the cognitive decline, the brain drain. And they said those law exams are no joke. I agree. Those law exams are no joke. If you're thinking, well, my brain isn't all like that, I'm going to put these up and I'm going to take a few of them off just to downsize them. But I have to go to different parts of the system in order to have that happen. So I'm going to take that one off, and then the others will get a wee bit bigger. Let's give us all equal footing. So this one in the corner, Naomi Tamiyama, single mother, entrepreneur, running several businesses. She said, and this is, again, I saw this one on Facebook as a post that she put up. And I said, oh my God, can I quote you? She was like, yeah, sure. She said, I've spent less than an hour reading 8 books on a topic and have completed a piece of work from this. Life-changing, game changer. Her son was really young at the time. 8 books in 1 hour. I know people who don't read 8 books in 1 week or 1 month or even 1 year. 8 books in 1 hour. Absolutely incredible. Now, if you're kind of with the whole brain thing, you might be going, well, Marilyn, my mind, my brain, this one, I'm going to take this one off now, just make it a little bit bigger so you can see what it says. So this one was from someone who was in a near fatal plane crash. Unfortunately, their partner was killed. They were minutes away from death. It was like a scene from a movie, and they were left with cognitive impairment. And were like that for many years. They came to the photo reading. Within that 2.5 days, everything changed, and they noticed that the full workshop, and I'm running a final in-person workshop next month if you want to join us. Full workshop is 2.5 days, so we do Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So on this one, we did Friday afternoon, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. On the Monday, they noticed the difference. And they said, Marilyn, your photo reading has really changed everything, Marilyn. My brain just feels rewired. That was from Kay Westmoreland, the conscious accountant. It is that powerful. And this was from a team of rocket scientists at Cranfield University. These people know how to learn. And this was from the feedback form. And they said, stimulating, valuable, highly recommend, professional, excellent, enlightening, fun, relaxing, motivating, time well spent, should be given to all first year PhD students. This was a room full of rocket scientists. That was their job title. We were at the MOD base in Shrivenham. That is what the rocket scientist said. So it is super duper powerful. So yeah, if you want to come and get a taster, learn a bit more, I'm going to share a couple of the, well, based on what people want me to talk about, I'm going to share some practical techniques and things that you can do with regards to that as well. So yeah, it will be wonderful to have you come and join us. Oh, that one will do. That wasn't quite what I was looking for, but I'll go with that one because it's better than Naughton. Just so you can see the spelling of transformations, because it's an unusual spelling. So it's TRANCE, F for Freddy, so FORMATIONS.com. And when you land on the site, click the red What's New button, a panel will slide out, and then you'll see links where you can click directly through to the Clear Your Clutter webinar tomorrow. So that's live online. You will not be on camera. It is anonymous, as in you can change your name when you log in, and there's a private Q&A that only comes to me, so you can chat anonymously, because I know clutter is a very personal issue, as are many of the things I teach. So I always set the webinar rooms up in that way. And then again, on Monday evening, it's going to be a live webinar. Come and join me to learn how to reclaim your brain. Well, that is it. I shall leave it there. I look forward to working with you virtually. And if you want to join me in person for the final in-person photo reading workshop, then again, transformationstm.com/photo reading. Hold on. /photo reading. That's the spelling there. And you'll find information about the in-person event. And again, if you just click the red Watch New button, have a scroll, I'll add it because it's probably fallen down the list now, and you'll see a link. It's taking place in Watford, so it's 20 minutes on the train from London Euston. We're about a 10-minute walk straight up Clarendon Road and then turn left at the bank at Halifax. But it's about 10 minutes walk from Watford Junction mainline station. You can use your Oyster card. Watford Junction is the last station on the London Overground portion that I live on, where you can use your Oyster card, and then it's a 10-minute walk into the centre of town. So if you know where Marks and Spencer's is in central Watford, then where you can literally see Marks and Spencer's from where we're going to be. And yeah, that's coming up next month. That's the final in-person opportunity. And thereafter, you can learn it online on demand. Well, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you know someone who could benefit from clearing a bit of clutter, or they wanted just a bit of a nudge and a motivational, inspirational little chivvy along and some support and some cheerleading, then feel free to say the details. And of course, if you know someone who is maybe overusing AI, or you just know you need a boost, if you've had brain fog and all of that sort of stuff, and or you've never been taught how to learn, which is crucial with all of this information coming up at us at a rate of noughts, then join me on Monday, and please feel free to share that link as well. That would be really appreciated, because we know the algorithms are not particularly friendly out there at the moment. All right, I shall leave it there. Marilyn Devonish, the NeuroSuccess coach, rapid transformation specialist, futurist, and certified photo reading instructor since March 2002. Over and out. I'll catch you later. And I look forward to working with you either in person or virtually.